Paborito ng mga anak ni Aling Elena ang instant noodles kaya lagi siyang bumibili nito tuwing nag-grocery. Pero iwas muna siya nang iparicall ng ilang bansa sa Europa ang ilang variant ng Lucky Me Instant Pancit Canton at
Customs and Border Protection agents confiscate millions of dollars worth of counterfeit items each year, but fakes still make their way onto Northeast Ohio store shelves.
Sa tala ng DOH, makikita ang pagtaas ng bilang ng bagong HIV cases sa gitna ng pandemya.
Avian flu, commonly known as bird flu, is a disease that usually occurs inside birds, often causing severe problems for the poultry industry. The flu is an influenza variant that occurs inside.
Good day everyone, I am Untitled, the first reporter of the Chapter 10, Negative Global Flows and Processes. Introduction. According to Bowman 2006, the environmental problems that was tackled in Chapter 9 was the negative concept of globalization. In this chapter, we will discuss the limited global flows associated with dangerous imports, borderless diseases, crime, corruption, terrorism, and war. There are certainly many negative aspects, flows, and processes associated with globalization, but globalization is not wholly negative. Positive or negative globalization often depends on one's perspective and position. Objectives. At the end of the report, the students must be able to, first, know the different dangerous imports globally. Second, discuss the different borderless diseases. Third, being aware of the symptoms, causes, and effects if HIV, AIDS, and avian flow. And the last, develop profound knowledge about dangerous imports and borderless diseases. My topic agenda is all about dangerous imports. Borderless diseases includes HIV, AIDS, and avian flow. First, what is dangerous imports? From the word itself, dangerous imports refer to importing products that are from other countries that contain dangerous ingredients, or imports that are dangerous to a nation and its citizens. Because of liquidity and the massive flow of all products from every corner of the world, it is nearly impossible to precisely know the true nature of the products entering in one country. And the greater use of global ingredients, the greater the difficulty to ensure that no contaminants find their way to a finished product. And all of the country in the world, all of the country talaga in the world is importing products from different countries. And it is hardly or difficult to ensure na lahat ng nai-import mo na product is hindi hazardous, hindi dangerous sa iyong country at sa mga citizens. The best example is the issue about the Lucky Me Pancit Canton ethylene oxide or the pesticide inside the Pancit Canton. In the EU, the European Union, because somewhere in Europe, there is the issue or the statement about the ethylene oxide inside the Pancit Canton. And it is very alarming because Pancit Canton is, or the Lucky Me Pancit Canton is from the Philippines. And it is hard to detect or determine kung saang country nanggaling yung na-import na ethylene oxide na na-detect sa EU na FDA. Kasi, because of globalization or the flow of products na came from different countries to another, is hindi mo na agad-agad ma-determine na galing sa Pilipinas yung pesticides because of the flows of products. Globalization also not only increase in imports of all kinds, but also imports that dangerous to a nation and its citizens. And these are some 9 examples of dangerous imports. Explosive, flammable gas, toxic gas, non-flammable or non-toxic gas, oxidizing gas, flammable liquid, oxidizing agent, organic peroxide, dangerous when wet, miscellaneous dangerous goods, toxic, radioactive, and dangerous goods, and corrosive. These are the products na harmful talaga sa nation and its citizens na nai-import sa ibang country because of black market. Kaya may marami ding mga dangerous goods or mga harmful product na nakapasok sa isang country kasi syempre pag may nag-import, may nag-export talaga niyan. So some other countries also exporting dangerous products through black market. Second is the borderless diseases. According to Harris Ali, borderless diseases refers to infectious disease agents that exhibit considerable global mobility. Example is plague, malaria, tuberculosis, and STIs, or the sexually transmitted infection. Plague is a disease that affects humans and other mammals caused by a bacterium, Yersinia pestis. It is usually transmitted to human after being bitten by a rodent flea or carrying or handling an animal infected with plague. And symptoms na minsan yung napupudpud yung daliri at yung nasa picture ganito. Next is malaria. Malaria is a serious and sometimes fatal disease caused by a parasite that commonly infect a certain type of mosquito which feeds on human. Malaria is similar to interconnected with dengue. People get malaria, typically very sick, high fevers, shaking chills, and flu-like illness. Just like also sa magka-dengue ka. And according to DOH, before, in the past, Philippines carried a high burden of malaria disease. But with the unrelenting effort of the National Malaria Control and Elimination Program, the cases of deaths have been reduced significantly, and the country is now inching towards elimination of malaria. But the cases of dengue is high pa rin dahil marami na talagang lugar ngayon ang maraming cases ng dengue dahil ang dami ng lamok. Next is sexually transmitted diseases. Is the infected from the word sexually transmitted is a disease transmitted through unprotected sexual intercourse like human papillomavirus infection, HIV/AIDS, chlamydia, and the syphilis. While tuberculosis is a disease caused by a germs that is spread from person to person through the air. Like kung may uubo na may TB tapos ikaw na malapit sa kanya, may posibilidad na mahawa ka sa kanya. It can also affect other parts of the body such as the brain, the kidney, the spine. The person with TB also die if they do not get treatment. So kung may TB ka, kailangan mo magpa-treatment kasi baka mamatay ka pag lumala yan. Because of globalization, flow of human movement, and it is really hard to erect the barriers to stop the infection of the virus because of globalization kasi it is continuous movement of people. And one of the basic example of borderless diseases is the global COVID-19 pandemic. We all know that pandemic is really affected all over the globe talaga na every person are affected of COVID-19 pandemic, and even there are many lockdowns and even sa mga other countries, even sa Philippines, nag-lockdown tayo ng mga airlines na minsan hindi tayo napapasok ng mga tao from other countries, and wala nang masyadong tourist na pumupunta dito sa panahon ng pandemya in the last 2 years or the last few months or mga year. It is still possible na ma-prevent ang virus sa pag-spread dahil sa globalization because there is always a movement of people. Next, HIV/AIDS. HIV refers to human immunodeficiency virus, a virus that attacks the cells that help the body fight infection, making a person more vulnerable to other infections and diseases. While the AIDS is the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, the latest stage of HIV infection that occurs when the body's immune system is badly damaged because of the virus. The difference between the AIDS and the HIV. HIV is transmitted through not sterile na syringe na ginamit mo. Example, yung nagpatato ka, tapos yung unang nagpatato sa'yo, hindi mo alam na may HIV pala, tapos yung needle na ginamit niya sa pagtato ay same din sa needle na ginamit mo at hindi na sterile or something like that, is may chance na magka-HIV ka. Also, the pregnant woman na nagpapa-breastfeed sa anak niya, matatransmit din yung pag may HIV siya, natatransmit din yung HIV sa anak niya. And also the blood penetration or donation of blood, then organ transplant, and especially the unprotected sexual intercourse. Yun yung mas nagpapalala sa mga cases ng HIV or AIDS dahil sa unprotected sexual intercourse. Unlike the diseases or the viruses that I mentioned earlier, HIV/AIDS is not transmitted through sa mga lamok or sa mosquitoes, through kissing. The spread of HIV/AIDS is closely linked with globalization. Because of globalization, there is the increase of global mobility associated with sex tourism. Sex tourism, well, we know that na pag unprotected sexual intercourse ka sa isang tao na may HIV, may chance talaga na magka-HIV ka din. And the greater migration rates of workers, the increased legal and illegal immigration. Next is the much greater rates of commercial and business travel, the movement of refugees, the military interventions, and the movement of military personnel, and so on. The spread of HIV/AIDS is really closely linked to globalization because of these factors. Because if pupunta ka sa isang lugar, tas unprotected sexual intercourse ka doon, or blood transplant ka, or nag-donate ka ba ng blood, anything na pwedeng makatransmit sa iyo yung HIV at babalik ka sa lugar nyo, pagbalik mo, may HIV ka na, and may chances na makahawa ka ng mga tao sa lugar ninyo. Next is, to reduce your risk of getting HIV, you need to use condoms. If you are engaged in sexual intercourse, ensure that your partner who are living with HIV are taking treatment, and you need to prevent HIV if you have ongoing risk, including during pregnancy, and you need to use the sterile needles and syringe for all injections. And getting tested, it is very important to getting tested and treated for sexually transmitted infections. Last is the avian flu. Avian influenza or bird flu refers to a disease caused by infection with avian, a bird influenza flu, a type A viruses. These viruses naturally spread among wild aquatic birds worldwide and can infect domestic poultry and other bird and animal species. Unlike HIV, na only spread only through intimate human contact, the avian flu has the potential to strain the flu or spread through casual human contact. And the avian flu is also passed through contact with saliva, mucus, feces, or bird that has the virus. For the human contact, the virus is substantial, it's very rare. Pero those handling poultry o mga bird or mga chickens na may avian flu, it has a substantial amount of virus must enter their eyes, nose, or mouth. And in the least developed nations like Philippines, we are likely most have the direct contact with birds and consume their eggs and have a central food supply, especially sa mga poultry farm. And the Philippines has detected an outbreak of avian flu in a northern province after tests showcase presence of the highly infectious subtype of the influenza A virus in a quail farm. It is located in Nueva Ecija province, where about 1,500 quails has died in one farm alone, and a total of 12,000 quails have been destroyed and buried to prevent further infections, according to the DAR. Avian influenza is, as I said earlier, from the bird, and if it is from the pig, it is a swine flu. At dito din sa Philippines is meron din tayong swine fever na cases. Kung ang tao ay halimbawa ang isang tao ay may poultry farm siya, tapos nakahandle siya ng bird or mga manok na may avian flu or bird flu, may possibility na magkaroon din siya ng avian influenza. And for over a decade, since 1990s, there always a fear of the pandemic of avian flu because of globalization, because that faster and effect kill more people in parts of the world than the last flu pandemic in the 1918, according to Robert. However, the ability to deal with such pandemic has been also enhanced because of globalization. Because, for example, global monitoring and the mobility of to get health workers a pharmaceutical rapidly to the site of an outbreak. Even if human pandemic never occurs, the spread of avian flu among birds remains a global problem that must be dealt with globally. More importantly, overflow strains are likely to be the basis of future pandemic. In conclusion, the globalization of the disease is a result of the increasingly heightened flow or movement of people throughout the world. And that's all. Thank you.